He thought it was just a routine mission, a few broken systems, a quiet station, nothing out of the ordinary. But when Lieutenant Ronan Vale was chosen, without warning, to become the guardian of a mysterious alien species, everything changed. What started as cute, cuddly creatures quickly turned into an unstoppable force of chaos, evolution, and intergalactic war. Now, one human stands between peace and destruction, and the fate of the galaxy rests in the paws of alien puppies. If you are new here, then please subscribe this channel and show thumbs up by liking the video. Now let's move to this wonderful story. Lieutenant Ronan Vale never expected anything unusual to happen on Nova 6. The space station, floating calmly in orbit above a quiet blue planet, was known for its peaceful operations and diplomatic research. Ronan, an engineer by trade, was there on a short-term contract to fix power inconsistencies in the station's outer energy coils. It was supposed to be a quiet job. Simple, in and out. But things took a strange turn on his third day. A soft chime echoed through his room, followed by a voice over the intercom. "Lieutenant Vale, please report to the High Assembly Chamber immediately." Ronan frowned. He had never even heard of that room before. 10 minutes later, Ronan stood in front of a giant circular door etched with glowing silver symbols. 2 tall, blue-skinned guards flanked the entrance. They gave him a respectful nod and stepped aside as the door slid open. Inside, the room shimmered with light from floating crystals. Seated in a semicircle were 5 Silari leaders, tall, elegant, beings with soft fur, long tails, and wise golden eyes. They were the rulers of this region of space and the reason Nova 6 existed. Ronan took a hesitant step forward. "Lieutenant Vale," said the one in the center, a female named Aylin. She stood and gave a small bow. "We thank you for joining us." Of course," Ronan replied. "Is something wrong with the power grid?" Aylin smiled. "No, this is not about engineering. It is about legacy." Ronan blinked. "Legacy?" Another elder stood and motioned toward a floating screen that appeared in the air. Glowing symbols danced across it as Aylin continued. "We have chosen you for a sacred duty, one that has been passed down through generations. Today, you are invited into the rite of guardianship." Ronan stared blankly. "I'm sorry. What exactly is that?" Aylin's eyes sparkled with excitement. "It is the greatest honor in our culture. You will become the guardian of our most precious offspring, the Meraki." "Offspring?" Ronan repeated. "As in, babies?" "Not babies," said another elder. "Meraki. Young, yes, but intelligent and spiritually bonded to their caretakers." Ronan slowly stepped back. "Listen, I'm flattered, but I'm not qualified to raise anything, let alone alien creatures." "You have been selected by tradition," Aylin said gently, "and the Meraki have already been prepared to meet you. To refuse would cause great offense to our people." Ronan looked at the room full of glowing eyes, every one of them watching him, waiting. "I don't get a say, do I?" Aylin gave a small shrug. "It is your choice. But the ceremony has begun." Before Ronan could respond, the far end of the chamber began to rumble. A pair of massive doors groaned open. The silence broke as a loud hiss echoed from the chamber's edge. Then, chaos. A wave of small, colorful creatures burst through the opening, chirping, barking, and bounding forward in a blur of fur and light. They had soft, multicolored coats, glowing eyes, and anywhere from 4 to 6 legs. Some had wings, others had tails that sparked gently with static. Ronan froze. Oh no. They were fast. In seconds he was surrounded. One leaped onto his back like a furry backpack. Another tried to chew his shoe. A third, bright gold with tiny glowing stripes, stopped right in front of him, tilting its head curiously. Hey?" Ronan offered nervously. The golden one made a soft sound, almost like a purr. Then it said in a high-pitched voice, "Human." Ronan's jaw dropped. Did that thing just talk?" "Yes," Aylin said proudly from behind him. "The Meraki are quick learners. That one has chosen you." "Chosen me?" Ronan echoed. The golden creature jumped onto his chest, cuddling into his jacket. You are now its guardian, she said gently. It has bonded, for life, Ronan. Looked down at the small creature wrapped around him, its eyes half closed and purring softly. It was oddly warm and heavy. You've got to be kidding me. The rest of the Meraki pups zoomed around the chamber. Some climbed the walls. Others chewed on glowing tapestries or chased each other through the air. They weren't dangerous. At least not yet, but they were far from calm. They're, energetic, Ronan muttered. Island chuckled softly. They are young and curious, but you will guide them. You sure you got the right guy? The right guardian finds himself, she said simply. Ronan let out a long breath as the golden pup snuggled into his neck and sighed contentedly. Great, he mumbled. Guess I'm a space dad now. As Ronan struggled to keep his balance, with the Meraki now crawling all over him, Aelin nodded to one of the guards. The elder spoke quietly. Prepare his living quarters for companionship adjustment. He'll need a reinforced habitat. What have I gotten myself into? Ronan whispered. The screen faded to black with a simple message. Ronan Vale woke, up to the feeling of something wet dragging across his face. His brain, still half asleep, tried to ignore it. Maybe it was just a dream. But then it happened again. A long, warm lick across his cheek. His eyes snapped open and he jolted. Upright, heart pounding. Above him, two glowing blue eyes stared back, only inches away. The golden Meraki pup, the one that had claimed him the day before, sat proudly on his chest, its fluffy tail wagging slowly. Ronan groaned and rubbed his eyes. Tuvi, he mumbled, already naming the little creature. You have no sense of personal space. Tuvi chirped in response and nestled closer. It was oddly comforting, even if it was mildly suffocating. Ronan gently slid out from under the pup, careful not to wake it. But as his feet hit the floor, he paused and looked around. His room was a disaster. His uniform was torn and half buried under shredded pieces of synthetic fabric. His boots were soaking wet. The walls were covered in glowing green paw prints, and his data pad, the one tool he relied on for work, had been dismantled into what looked like 100 pieces. Every wire and component had been spread out like a science experiment gone wrong. Ronan sighed, placing both hands on his head. I've been awake for 2 minutes and I already want to quit. Then he smelled it. He sniffed the air, face twisting. Okay, which one of you peed in here? A giggle echoed from above. Slowly, Ronan tilted his head up. Tucked into the air vent was a smaller jet-black Meraki pup with glowing green eyes and a wide grin. It stared down at him like a mischievous gremlin. No, Ronan whispered. Don't you dare! The creature dropped. Ronan dove to the side just as the furry missile crashed onto the bed, bounced once, then rolled off onto the floor. Tuvi was instantly awake, yipping with joy and pouncing onto its sibling. The two of them began tumbling across the room in a full-blown wrestling match. Ronan leaned against the wall and muttered, I need coffee. A gallon of it. He pulled on his shredded uniform and stepped into the corridor, heading toward the station's cafeteria. Nova 6 was usually quiet in the mornings. Calm, peaceful. Today, it was anything but. The first thing he noticed was the sound. It wasn't the usual soft hum of machinery and distant conversations. It was chaos, barking, screeching, and the unmistakable clatter of metal on metal. As he turned the corner, the full scene came into view. A group of Meraki pups were using food trays as hoverboards, racing down the corridor at impossible speeds. 2 Solari officers chased after them helplessly, yelling commands that no one listened to. Another officer was stuck inside a floating energy bubble, slowly spinning in circles as a pup dangled from the control panel nearby, giggling. Ronan stared, speechless. A group of alien merchants stood frozen in horror as one particularly bold pup chewed on a high-voltage cable like it was a snack. Sparks flew from the connection, but the creature didn't seem to notice or care. This is fine, Ronan muttered to himself, stepping carefully past a pup rolling around in spilled juice. Just then, Island appeared beside him, holding a cup of steaming Celery tea. She took a sip and gave a calm nod. "Good morning." Ronan pointed around the chaos. "How is this normal?" Island raised an eyebrow. "They're young, curious, energetic." "Energetic," he shouted, ducking as a pup launched itself off a table. "That one just defied the laws of physics." Aelin smiled. "Yes, they do that sometimes." Ronan threw up his hands. "You said they were playful and harmless." "They are." He pointed toward a group of pups now attempting to ride an overturned service drone. "You left out the part where they're tiny furry hurricanes of destruction." Island didn't reply. Instead, she sipped her tea as if everything was perfectly normal. Before Ronan could argue further, something tackled him from behind. He hit the ground hard as Tuvi landed squarely on his back, tail wagging. "Whom?" the pup chirped happily. Ronan groaned. "Yep, that's me." The black pup joined in next, bouncing onto his chest and sniffing curiously. Then, without warning, it bit his sleeve and started dragging him down the hall. "Hey! No, bad alien puppy!" Within seconds, the rest of the pups noticed the game. In a flurry of fur and excited squeals, they joined in. Ronan disappeared beneath a squirming, barking mountain of Miraki. "They are bonding with you," Island said calmly from somewhere above the chaos. Ronan's muffled voice came from under the pile. "I regret everything." Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the station. Red lights flashed along the walls. A Solari officer rushed into view, out of breath and pale. "Commander," he yelled. "We have a problem." Aelin stood straighter. "What is it?" The officer gulped. "The pups. They've broken into the engine core." Ronan shot upright so fast that 2 pups went flying off him. "They did what?" The officer nodded grimly. "They're inside the reactor chamber." Ronan's face turned pale. "We're all going to die." Island's calm expression finally cracked. She looked to Ronan, then to the direction of the engine room. "We need to act fast," she said. Ronan looked down at Tuvi, who was wagging his tail and licking his face. "This is your fault," he muttered. "And I just know it's about to get worse." Ronan Vale had always thought of himself as an average guy, someone who fixed things, avoided drama, and kept a low profile. But now, standing in the center of a grand Solari courtroom with Tuvi perched proudly on his shoulder and dozens of alien officials staring at him, average didn't seem to apply anymore. "You must face the trials," Elder Vaylor announced, his voice echoing across the marble chamber. "Only then can we confirm your worthiness as a true guardian of the Miraki." Ronan sighed. "I saved the reactor core from a small army of puppies armed with curiosity and teeth. Isn't that enough?" Commander Island stood beside him, calm as ever. "That was only the beginning." Ronan rubbed his temples. "Great." 3 glowing platforms rose from the floor in front of him. On each, a different symbol pulsed with soft blue light, a spiral, a flame, and a paw print. "Each trial will test a different part of you," Vaylor explained. "Patience, protection, and the bond." Ronan nodded slowly. "Okay, and if I fail, the council may revoke your guardianship," Island said gently. Ronan looked at Tuvi, who blinked his glowing eyes and let out a small, innocent-sounding "whom." His heart sank. "All right, let's get this over with." The first test took place in a quiet, circular room padded with soft cushions. A single elder explained the rules. "You will sit perfectly still for 10 minutes. No flinching, no speaking, no reaction. Remain calm, no matter what happens." "Easy," Ronan said. "I've sat through corporate meetings longer than that." Then the door opened. In came 2 Miraki pups, Tuvi and another slightly larger one with black fur and a glint of mischief in her eyes. "This is Nira," the elder said. "She is known for testing limits." Ronan sat cross-legged in the center of the room. The moment the elder said, "Begin," the chaos started. Nira trotted straight to Ronan and started nibbling his boot. Tuvi climbed onto his lap and began batting at his nose. Ronan clenched his jaw and stayed still. Nira then tried to crawl under his shirt. Tiny paws tickled his ribs as she wiggled and kicked. Ronan's eyes twitched. "You're doing great," whispered Island from behind the observation window. Nira popped out of his collar and stared at him upside down. Then, without warning, she let out a loud fart. Ronan's soul nearly left his body. Still, he didn't move. The gong rang out. 10 minutes had passed. Ronan collapsed backward, gasping. "Never again?" Island chuckled. "You passed." Before Ronan could fully recover, he was led to a training chamber filled with artificial trees, fog, and strange noises. This time Tuvi and Nira followed him, their ears perked. An elder's voice echoed through the chamber. "Your goal is simple. Protect the young. Do not run. Do not abandon them." "Protect them from what?" Ronan asked. A deep growl answered him. Ronan turned slowly. A large creature, 6-legged, red-eyed, and made of metal and fur, emerged from the mist. It growled again and began to charge. Ronan's heart pounded. Every instinct told him to run, but instead he stepped in front of the pups, arms wide. "Stay behind me," the creature lunged. Ronan closed his eyes and swung blindly with a nearby stick. The stick snapped, but the hologram monster flickered and vanished. The mist cleared. The lights returned. "Well done," said Valor. "You protected them with courage." Ronan panted, heart still racing. "I really hope the next one doesn't involve monsters." Island smiled. "No monsters. Just trust." The final chamber was simple, a smooth, empty floor. Tuvi sat across from Ronan, tail wagging. "The trial is simple," said the elder. "Give a command. If the Miraki follows it, you pass." Ronan blinked. "That's it?" "They only respond to guardians they fully trust." Ronan crouched down. "Okay, Tuvi, sit." Tuvi tilted his head. "Come on, buddy, you know this. Sit." Tuvi blinked. Ronan tried a softer voice. "Please, for me?" Tuvi chirped once and spun in a circle, Malau, and sat. The chamber went quiet. "Impossible," one elder whispered. Another stood. "They never obey direct commands." Ronan grinned. "Guess I'm special." After the trials, Ronan stood once more before the Solari Council. His body ached, his nerves were fried. Tuvi was curled up in his arms, purring softly. "Lieutenant Vale," Valor said, "you have shown patience, bravery, and connection. You have passed every trial." "So I can keep the little guys?" Ronan asked. "Not only that," Island said, stepping forward. "You are now officially recognized as a Solari Guardian, the first human ever to hold that title." Ronan blinked. "Does it come with a raise?" Island smiled. "No," Ronan sighed. "Of course not." Just as he was about to leave the chamber, an officer ran in, breathless. "Commander, something's happened." Island turned. "What is it?" The officer hesitated. "New energy readings from the hatchery. We think more eggs are hatching." Ronan stared. "More? How many?" The officer swallowed. "Hundreds." Ronan slowly sat down, Tuvi still in his arms. "I need a vacation." The halls of Nova 6 were anything but calm. Lieutenant Ronan Vale ran through the corridor with Tuvi clinging to his shoulder, tail flicking and eyes glowing with excitement. Behind him, alarms blared, flashing red lights painting the walls like warning signs. The sound of rushing footsteps echoed as Solari officers prepared for something they had never faced before. "What's happening now?" Ronan shouted, nearly tripping over a loose cable. Commander Island appeared beside him, walking quickly but with her usual calm. "Our sensors picked up movement in the hatchery. The new Miraki eggs, they've started to hatch, all of them, at once." Ronan's heart dropped. "How many are we talking?" "More than 200, she replied. He groaned. "Great. Because what I really wanted today was a fluffy stampede." They reached the hatchery doors. The glowing walls pulsed with soft golden light. Inside, a strange humming sound filled the air, deep and alive. Ronan stepped through the door and his breath caught in his throat. Eggs lined the room, stacked in soft clusters, each one pulsing gently. Then, one by one, they began to crack. Small paws poked through. Glowing eyes blinked open. The air shimmered, with energy as dozens, no hundreds, of Meraki pups emerged into the world. Tuvi chirped softly and jumped from Ronan's shoulder, rushing forward to greet the new arrivals. The other pups from earlier joined him, tails wagging and noses twitching. The room quickly filled with excited squeaks, joyful chirps, and the sound of little paws skittering on the floor. Ronan stepped back and whispered, "This is either the cutest thing I've ever seen, or the start of the universe's most adorable disaster." Suddenly a sharp voice broke through the moment. "Attention, Nova 6. This is Admiral Thalos of the Redark Empire. We have detected the emergence of a Meraki swarm. Prepare to surrender." Ronan turned to Islan, eyes wide. "Who's that?" Her expression darkened. "The Redark. They've been trying to take control of the Meraki species for years. They believe whoever commands the Meraki can use their bond to control powerful mental energies." "So they want to weaponize them?" Ronan asked. Aelin nodded. "Exactly. And now that so many have hatched, we've drawn their attention." The station shook as something large docked outside. The invasion had begun. Ronan didn't hesitate. "We have to protect them. We can't let these pups fall into the wrong hands." Aelin gave him a serious look. "We'll hold them back. But you have the strongest bond. You may be the key to leading the Meraki." Ronan looked down as Tuvi returned to his side, nuzzling his leg. He took a deep breath. "Then let's show them what a bunch of alien furballs can do." The Redark soldiers stormed the station. Tall and covered in dark armor, they moved in tight units, forcing back the Solari guards. Plasma blasts lit up the halls. Nova 6 began to take damage fast, but then something unexpected happened. The Meraki pups began to glow. Tuvi raised his head and let out a high-pitched chirp. The others followed. One by one, the pups formed into lines, facing the invaders with tiny, determined eyes. And then they moved, not with fear, not with panic, but with purpose. The first wave of Redark soldiers opened fire, but the shots went wild. The Meraki pups darted through the chaos, teleporting short distances, creating illusions and causing the Redark to panic. Some soldiers dropped their weapons after being swarmed by giggling, sticky pups. Others found themselves levitating, mid-air paws gripping their armor, yanking helmets off. Ronan led the charge, giving the Meraki simple signals: left, duck, leap. They listened. They obeyed. The bond between them had grown stronger. What had started as a chaotic mess of fur and teeth was now a coordinated group. Tuvi, small as he was, barked commands of his own. The other pups followed him like he was their general. Islan watched in amazement. "They're forming a collective mind. You're helping them think as one." Ronan grinned. "They're not just cute, they're clever." As the Redark soldiers retreated, their commander entered the chamber, tall, scarred, and furious. "This ends now," the commander roared, lifting a massive energy cannon. Ronan stood his ground, Tuvi beside him. "You're not taking them," he said calmly. The commander fired. The blast came straight for Ronan, but in a flash the Meraki pups leapt in front of him. A shimmering golden shield formed, blocking the attack. Energy sparked and danced across the floor, but Ronan was untouched. From the center of the group, Tuvi's eyes glowed brighter than ever. Then the impossible happened. The pups joined their voices, releasing a wave of soft, harmonious sound. The air rippled with power. The Redark commander's weapon short-circuited, exploding in his hands. Defeated, he was dragged away by his own soldiers as they retreated to their ship. Peace had been restored. After the chaos settled, Nova 6 slowly returned to normal. The station was repaired. The lights stopped flashing. The alarms faded. Ronan stood in the hatchery, now home to over 200 Meraki pups, each one healthy, happy, and finally calm. Commander Islan approached him with a small smile. "You've done something none of us thought possible. You turned a mess into a miracle." Ronan gave a tired laugh. "I think I lost half my hair doing it." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "The Solari High Council has made a decision. They would like to offer you a new title. Please tell me it's not official puppy wrangler, Ronan muttered. Ambassador, Island said. Of the Meraki Human Alliance, you've earned it. Ronan looked around at the fluffy chaos. Tuvi sat at his feet, tail wagging. He smiled. You know what? I'll take it.